proof. I'm willing to send it to the email. I have visual proof, video clips, and everything. Not as big and swollen as before. It's not a lot of inflammation, but it looks null and void, like it might as well not even exist. His bruises mainly on his back, his lower back, like people keep saying he's scratching and stuff. I remember seeing like it looked like a scab, not a rash. A rash is like it shows up as bumps, and it's a rash before it becomes a sore.
Right.
This was a sore. It reminds you of if somebody was to be on a bike and they was to slide and it like scraped, and it was that type of sore. Like it was a scab all right there. Edges look infected, like when it looks like greenish on the edges and like different colors, and then it like goes on the end towards the inside. It's like a maroonish color. I know that's a sign of infection. And the smell from it, I thought that him, getting bird baths and this and that, I'm thinking it's because of the obviously it's because of hygiene as well. But the smell is not just from not bathing. It is a smell of decay.
This is serious. Those were the chilling words that stopped everyone in their tracks. What started as whispers behind closed doors has now exploded into a full-blown controversy. And for the first time, a church member is stepping forward with claims that are impossible to ignore. According to them, what's really happening behind the scenes involving Chrisean Rock's son is far more concerning than anyone imagined. Social media has already been buzzing with speculation. But this insider account is adding fuel to an already raging fire. The church, often seen as a place of guidance and protection, is now unexpectedly at the center of the conversation. What did they witness? Why are they choosing to speak out now? And most importantly, what does this mean for the child caught in the middle of it all? Fans are divided, emotions are high, and questions are piling up fast. Some are demanding answers, while others are urging people not to jump to conclusions. But one thing is clear: this situation has crossed a line from drama into something much more serious. Stay tuned, because what comes next may change everything you thought you knew. The situation surrounding Chrisean Rock has taken a turn that many people are calling deeply concerning, and now it's no longer just internet chatter. What once lived in comment sections and reaction videos is starting to spill into real-world spaces, with voices from within her own circle beginning to speak out. And the latest voice, a church member who claims they witnessed things firsthand. According to this individual, the concerns aren't just about online behavior or controversial statements. They're about what's allegedly happening behind closed doors, specifically involving Chrisean's young son. While details remain unclear and unverified, the tone of the claims has been enough to spark serious conversations across social media platforms. This isn't being framed as drama anymore. It's being framed as something that people feel needs attention. The church member, who has not been widely identified, reportedly shared their perspective in a setting that was meant to be private but quickly found its way online. In their account, they describe moments that made them uncomfortable situations where they felt the child's well-being might not have been the top priority. They didn't claim to have all the answers, but they made it clear that what they saw was enough to leave a lasting impression. Now, it's important to pause here and recognize something. These are allegations. In today's digital world, stories can spread faster than facts, and narratives can form before all sides are heard. But even with that in mind, the reaction from the public has been intense. People aren't just watching anymore, they're analyzing, debating, and in some cases, calling for intervention. Part of what makes this situation so complex is Chrisean Rock's public persona. She has always been open, sometimes to a fault, about her life. From her relationships to her struggles, she's allowed the world to see both the highs and the lows. For some fans, that transparency is what makes them support her. They see someone who is real, unfiltered, and navigating life in the spotlight the best way she knows how. But for others, that same openness raises concerns, especially when a child is involved. Critics argue that not everything should be shared, and that certain boundaries need to be in place to protect a young life. And now, with a church member stepping forward, Those concerns are being amplified in a new way. What's also fueling the conversation is the role of the church itself. Typically seen as a place of support, guidance, and moral grounding, it's not often that voices from within that space become part of public controversy. So when someone connected to that environment speaks out, people tend to listen a little more closely. It adds a layer of seriousness that's hard to ignore. At the same time, there are many who are urging caution. Supporters of Chrisean Rock are quick to point out that one person's account doesn't tell the whole story. They're asking for context, for evidence, and for fairness. They argue that jumping to conclusions based on limited information can be harmful not just to Chrisean, but to her child as well. And that's where things get even more complicated, because at the center of all of this is a baby who didn't choose to be in the spotlight. A child whose life is already being discussed, dissected, and debated by millions of strangers online. It raises a bigger question about the intersection of fame and parenting, about what responsibility comes with having your personal life broadcast to the world. There's also the issue of accountability. If the concerns being raised have any truth to them, what happens next? Who steps in? What systems are in place to ensure a child's safety in situations like this? These are questions that go beyond one celebrity and touch on broader societal responsibilities. On the flip side, if the claims are exaggerated or taken out of context, there's another kind of damage being done, the kind that affects reputation, mental health, and public perception. In the age of viral content, it doesn't take much for a narrative to stick, even if it's later proven to be incomplete or inaccurate. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is clear: people are paying attention in a different way now. This isn't just about entertainment or gossip anymore. The tone has shifted, the stakes feel higher, and the conversations being had are more serious. For Chrisean Rock, this moment could be a turning point. Whether that means addressing the claims directly, stepping back from the spotlight, or continuing on as she has been, only time will tell. But the pressure is undeniably building. And for the audience watching from the outside, there's a responsibility to question, yes, but also to be mindful, to seek truth without rushing to judgment, to remember that behind every headline and viral clip are real people, real lives, and real consequences. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a story. It's a situation that's still unfolding, and what happens next could have a lasting impact on everyone involved. As the situation continues to unfold, the conversation surrounding Chrisean Rock and her son is becoming more layered and more intense. What began as a single voice speaking out has now turned into a wave of reactions, with more people coming forward to share opinions, observations, and in some cases, their own alleged experiences. Online platforms are now flooded with clips, breakdowns, and debates. Some creators claim to be analyzing body language, past interviews, and live stream moments, trying to piece together a bigger picture. Others are pushing back, arguing that social media has a dangerous habit of turning speculation into perceived truth. The line between concern and assumption is becoming increasingly blurred. One of the biggest shifts in this phase of the story is how the narrative is evolving beyond just one account. While the original church members' claims sparked a conversation, now there are multiple voices, some supportive, some critical, adding to the noise. A few individuals claiming to be familiar with Chrisean's environment have hinted that there may be more going on than what's visible online. However, none of these claims have been officially verified, which only adds to the uncertainty. At the same time, fans who have followed Chrisean for years are pointing to her past as context. They highlight her upbringing, her struggles, and the very public nature of her journey. To them, this isn't a one-dimensional story of right or wrong. It's about someone who has faced adversity and is now navigating motherhood under a microscope. They argue that mistakes, if any, should be met with support and guidance rather than immediate condemnation. But critics see it differently. They believe that being in the public eye comes with responsibility, especially when a child is involved. For them, the issue isn't about Chrisean's past. It's about present actions and the potential impact on her son's well-being. They're asking harder questions now. Is the environment stable? Are the right people around to provide support? Is the child being protected from unnecessary exposure? Another element adding fuel to the fire is the role of live streaming and constant content creation. In today's digital age, moments that would normally be private are often shared in real time for influencers and public figures. This can be part of their brand, but it also opens the door for scrutiny. Every interaction, every reaction, every detail becomes something that can be replayed and analyzed, not in Chrisean's case. Some viewers have pointed to specific live stream moments that they believe raise concerns. These clips are being circulated widely, often without full context, leading to different interpretations depending on who's watching. Supporters say these moments are being taken out of proportion, while critics argue they reveal patterns that shouldn't be ignored. Amid all of this, there's a noticeable absence that people are starting to talk about: a clear, direct response. While Chrisean Rock has never been one to stay silent for long, in this particular moment, many are watching closely to see how or if she addresses the growing controversy. Will she respond to the church members' claims? Will she clarify what people think they're seeing online? Or will she choose to ignore the noise altogether? Public response in situations like this can be a double-edged sword. Addressing the issue might provide clarity and calm some concerns, but it can also bring more attention and prolong the conversation. On the other hand, staying silent can be interpreted in different ways. Some may see it as avoiding accountability, while others may view it as choosing not to engage with unverified claims. There's also the question of support systems. Parenting is challenging under any circumstances, but doing it in the public eye adds a level of pressure that few people truly understand. The discussion is now shifting toward whether Chrisean has the right support around her family, friends, or professionals who can help navigate this stage of her life. Some fans are even calling for her to step back from social media temporarily to focus on her child and her well-being. Meanwhile, the church's involvement continues to be a focal point. People are asking whether more individuals from that community will speak out or if the initial statement will remain an isolated voice. The credibility of that account is still being debated, but its impact is undeniable. It has changed the tone of the conversation and introduced a level of seriousness that wasn't there before. What's perhaps most striking is how quickly public perception can shift. Just weeks ago, much of the conversation around Chrisean Rock centered on her music, her personality, and her headline-making lifestyle. Now, the focus has turned almost entirely to her role as a mother. It's a reminder of how fragile public image can be and how quickly narratives can evolve. As viewers, followers, and commentators continue to weigh in, the situation remains unresolved. There are still more questions than answers, more opinions than facts, and yet the discussion shows no signs of slowing down. Ultimately, this moment is bigger than any single post or claim. It's about the intersection of fame, responsibility, and the power of public opinion. It's about how stories are told, who gets to tell them, and what happens when those stories involve a child. For now, all eyes remain on Chrisean Rock and what she chooses to do next, because in a situation this serious, silence, action, or even a single statement could shift everything once again. As the controversy surrounding Chrisean Rock and her son continues to gain traction, the narrative is entering a new phase, one that is more personal, emotional, and fraught with tension than ever before. What started as a single church member speaking out has now evolved into a widespread conversation about parenting, responsibility, and the pressures of life in the public eye. The focus has shifted from entertainment to real concern, with audiences asking critical questions about the child at the center of it all. One of the most striking aspects of this situation is the way people are grappling with the duality of Chrisean's life. On one hand, she is a public figure whose life is performed for fans, social media followers, and reality TV audiences. On the other, she is a mother, navigating responsibilities that are private, intimate, and deeply consequential. balancing. These two realities is never easy. And for Chrisean, the stakes feel higher than ever because the scrutiny isn't abstract, it's personal. Every clip, every post, every statement is dissected for meaning, and people are quick to interpret these moments as evidence of broader issues. Critics argue that being in the public eye doesn't excuse potential lapses in judgment, especially when a child's safety or emotional well-being might be at risk. They point to moments on social media where Chrisean appears distracted, stressed, or otherwise overwhelmed, interpreting these as signs that support structures may be insufficient. This perspective has amplified the sense of urgency surrounding the church members' claims, making it clear that the conversation is no longer just about gossip. It's about accountability and concern for a young life. At the same time, supporters are emphasizing context and nuance. They remind the public that Chrisean has faced immense pressure and public scrutiny for years, often being forced to defend herself in ways that others are not. Her journey, marked by personal struggles, public relationships, and a career in entertainment, has never been simple. To her fans, what looks like chaos from the outside may, in reality, be her doing her best under extremely difficult circumstances. They argue that empathy and understanding are as important as criticism in this moment. The debate is also highlighting a larger societal issue: how fame intersects with parenthood. Celebrities often live their lives under a microscope where private mistakes become public lessons and moments of vulnerability are turned into viral content. For children of celebrities, this reality is even more pronounced. The public, intentionally or not, becomes an uninvited participant in their upbringing, forming opinions and judgments based on limited information. The current situation with Chrisean Rock exemplifies this tension in stark terms. Her son's life is now a subject of conversation across social media, not because of his choices, but because of the circumstances surrounding him. Adding another layer to the story is the church's involvement. Churches are traditionally viewed as places of guidance, support, and moral clarity, and the fact that a member is speaking out brings a level of weight to the claims. Whether the church itself will comment further remains uncertain, but the presence of this insider account has forced the public to take the situation more seriously. It has also sparked discussions about community responsibility, oversight, and the role of institutions in protecting vulnerable individuals. Amid all of this, Chrisean Rock has remained largely silent on the specifics, a choice that has been interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as a strategic decision, allowing her to avoid inflaming the situation further or engaging with unverified claims. Others worry that this silence might suggest avoidance or lack of accountability. The reality, of course, may lie somewhere in between. Celebrity responses are often calculated to balance public perception with personal boundaries, particularly when children are involved. The broader public conversation is also increasingly centered on solutions rather than just speculation. Many people are discussing the need for support systems, mental health resources, trusted caregivers, and guidance networks that could help Chrisean navigate this period more safely and effectively. There is a growing recognition that while online commentary is fast and loud, the real work happens behind the scenes, where professionals and loved ones can provide tangible support for both parent and child. What makes this moment particularly delicate is the emotional intensity surrounding it. Fans, critics, and casual observers alike are invested, and emotions are running high. The debate isn't just intellectual, it's deeply personal for many, as they wrestle with questions about morality, safety, empathy, and responsibility. And through all of this, the child remains the silent center of attention, a reminder that real lives are at stake amid viral narratives and social media speculation. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: this is not a situation that will resolve quickly or quietly. Each new development, whether it's a statement from Chrisean, additional commentary from insiders, or public reaction online, has the potential to shift perceptions and escalate tensions further. The eyes of the public are watching, but the most important perspectives are those closest to the situation, the ones who can influence outcomes for the better. In the end, the controversy surrounding Chrisean Rock and her son serves as a vivid reminder of the complexities of modern fame and parenting. It's a situation where judgment, empathy, accountability, and concern all collide, creating a dynamic that is both compelling and deeply unsettling as people continue to weigh in. The hope is that the conversation will eventually focus not just on speculation, but on the well-being of those most directly affected, especially the child at the heart of it all. The coming weeks will be critical. How Chrisean responds, how her support systems step in, and how the public engages with the story will all shape the trajectory of this unfolding situation. One thing is clear. What started as whispers behind closed doors has now become a serious conversation, and its consequences will resonate far beyond the headlines. If you've been following the unfolding story of Chrisean Rock and her son, now is the time to stay informed and engaged. This situation goes beyond drama. It touches on real concerns about parenting, responsibility, and the pressures of growing up in the public eye. Don't rely on rumors alone, seek verified updates, listen to multiple perspectives, and consider the human side of every story. Your voice matters too. Conversations about accountability, support, and empathy can help shape the way these stories are discussed online and offline. Share responsibly, avoid spreading unverified claims. And remember that real lives are at stake behind every headline. Stay connected for the latest updates as this story develops. By following carefully and thinking critically, you'll not only understand the full picture, but also contribute to a conversation that prioritizes truth, compassion, and the well-being of those involved. Your awareness can make a difference.